there is sexism everywhere around us, you know. We live in a man's world, and not just in the industry, we live in a man's world, in the world that we live, right? I'm not interested in always facing the camera and worrying about, how should I turn the scene so that, I am the only one in it. And I don't even think like that, quite honestly. So much demand for weird kind of stuff online and things like that, that then there is supply as well. Nowadays, especially, with everything for public consumption constantly, you don't even know what is being captured where, when, and you just kind of like, you feel very vulnerable. Sometimes as a girl, I will walk into a room and then everyone soon realizes that, hey, that's just secondary. She's a person with such and such qualities first. I wish my father was alive. That is the one part of life that I do wish for. So much noise around us all the time that you have to make sure that your own voice is the loudest up above all of that.
Hello and welcome to Bollywood Bubble. I am Akriti Bagla, and today I can say I'm with an artist who is super talented, versatile, and she's totally humble. Nimrat Kaur, hello and welcome to Bollywood Bubble.
Thank you so much.
Today when after seeing Kull I meet you, I think I'm meeting two different ladies, two different versions. But also Nimrat, with every project, we see you perfectly getting into the character, mannerism, or maybe your dialect. When it came to Kull, right? What was something you experimented and you are like, okay, now I'm proud of this project as well?
Actually, for Kull, I didn't have any reference point. I don't know anybody who's from a royal family or, somebody who lives such a life of so much flamboyance and, the way she has her saris and jewelry and this and that, the regalia. So I didn't really know anybody like that. So for me, it was very exciting to play somebody who actually lives in a palace and belongs to a royal family, and at the same time is someone so fractured inside and somebody who's so conflicted that she just really doesn't know how to really navigate her life without, without kind of taking care of everyone around her. That's her prime job.
Exactly.
She's just constantly looking after her younger sister or her younger brother or husband or father, or it's like she's defined by the roles she has to play as a sister or a wife or a whatever else. So it's really quite complex. So for me to crack all of that and then eventually what happens in the end and to come to that, that was a challenge which I felt like, I did justice to, I feel. I don't know.
You did. Like we discussed off camera, you definitely did. But you rightly defined your character, and that was my next question. Her exterior is very tough.
Yeah.
Rani Indrani is about, independent and strong lady here. But internally, she is fighting a lot of battles, right? And not only your character, but every character in the show are somewhere or the other, I would say, emotionally broken. Even Amol, he takes certain decisions because of the trauma he is going through, right?
Of course.
I want to ask you, Nimrat, have there been phases in life where you felt like, okay, now it is becoming difficult for me to emotionally cope up certain situations?
Of course, yeah. I mean, life is life, and you go through so many situations in life, sometimes personal, sometimes professional, where it takes a toll on you. You get tired or you get fatigued, you don't know who the right people are to talk to. And nowadays, especially, with everything for public consumption constantly, you don't even know what is being captured where, when, and you just kind of like, you feel very vulnerable. So it is something that, it's a high stress life sometimes if you choose to let it affect you. But I keep my loved ones very close to me, and I stay close to people who I talk to and, kind of de-stress with. And what I really love doing is going up into the mountains and just, kind of just going for hikes and treks. And, that really keeps me going and keeps me in touch with the real me, so that, all of these things don't really bother me beyond a point.
True. And also, Kull, if we talk about, the show overall also, deals with this idea of, that control over power. Everyone is fighting for some or the other power here, right? If in real life, I would say you have a power and you have to do something differently in your journey, or you would change something, what would it be?
Absolutely nothing. How could I, be here, sitting here, talking to you in this place without even one thing not happening in the way it happened? So all the, if now that is beyond me, this is not something that I could have controlled, but I wish my father was alive. That is the one part of life that I do wish for. always. But other than that, honestly, everything else has either taught me or rewarded me. So I love uh, all the pitfalls and all the failures or all the difficulties as much as I love all the successes and all the good stuff, because I am a sum total of all of those occurrings.
I know, and also you rightly said, ki, okay, you have lost your father, and maybe that void will always be there in you, right? But how do you look at your mother? Has she been that guiding force, a strong force in your life, and how has she sort of motivated you in your journey so far?
By being the most fabulous human being I have ever met. She's so childlike and she's so enthusiastic about life, and she has so many varied interests, whether it's painting, singing, nurturing her plants in the house. She sings as well so beautifully. And I'm just saying that, in spite of what life, in spite of the cards that life dealt her, she has lived the most dignified and the most beautiful, happy life that I know. And I feel like that enthusiasm, if I can have for every single day of my life, I'll be a very big success story.
I know, Nimrat. But even Kull as a show or the previous projects you have done, right? They have been sort of ensembles. We have done multi-star projects so far, right? In times when you say, okay, actors get insecure to actresses, don't get along well. How, as an actor, you be so secure that no matter what you do, you always shine and you have that space that, okay, I can coexist with my co-stars?
Maybe it's something I don't think about. I don't want to outshine anyone, and I don't want to steal any scenes, or, I don't work like that. It's not something I ever look at. I'm not interested in always facing the camera and worrying about, how should I turn the scene so that, I am the only one in it. And I don't even think like that, quite honestly. And I feel that, my work approach in life is generally to bring the best out in the story and to serve the story well through the director's lens, and to ensure that that dynamic doesn't get disbalanced no matter what happens. So I don't let my personal interests or my internal conversations ever come in the way of what I need to do towards the scene. So I think maybe it's like almost like a student-like approach I have towards my work, where I don't let anything else come in the way.
Exactly. But one spoiler I could give. You were singing in the show. Where did that guidance came from? And
Thank
maybe,
you.
You thought that, okay, this is something, a space I want to explore.
Well, the director of the show, Sahir Raza, he sent me this song. It's a folk song. It's a Rajasthani folk song. It's a lori. And because of the strange dynamic between the siblings, the sister and the younger brother, especially because, she's overprotective. Sometimes you just want to like shake her up and say that, hey, stop it.
You
really need to knock some sense into his head. But, he's got her wrapped around his little finger. And that thread kind of has taken place since childhood when they lost their mother, which is probably why the middle sister, played so beautifully by Riddhi, that, she feels... she feels like, she needs the elder sister's validation, and she's always trying to talk sense to her, which doesn't really happen. And then it's too late by the end. Anyway, coming back to the song, so it's a lori that, she sings to the little brother through her childhood as well. So it's like a moment, a bond which is depicted through that song between them, you see. And there are so many complexities in that relationship, where it's almost an unhealthy dynamic, really. It's borderline unhealthy, really, between the two siblings. And eventually where it winds up and, how it lands up in the climax, the song, it's a very big, I think it's a very indicative moment, and it's so haunting. Like, I couldn't watch it more than once. I got very, very freaked out. I said, oh my goodness, what have we done? So it just becomes very eerie and very haunting in the end. So... I was very lucky that, that they retained it. I tried to sing it and then they said, hey, okay, it's working. So,
But, in the show, there is this part, jahan aap CM ban jate ho, and your husband reacts it in a very unusual way, right, Nimrat? But, do you feel even today we are in that world where inherent sexism is somewhere or the other there in a subtle way, if not openly? Aajkal openly koi ye sab cheeze express nahi karta. But subtle way, have you felt that there is sexism around you?
Subtle way, yes, of course, there is sexism everywhere around us, We live in a man's world, and not just in the industry, we live in a man's world in the world
In the
that we
world.
live, right? So here, of course, there are places and rooms where, you know, there is like, there's a little bit of a boys club you sense, and, you know, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
these jokes are only meant for
True.
them and we're not a part of it or whatever. But I feel like if you walk into a room with the attitude that, you know that it's just a matter of time before that changes, and subtly you let your presence be known. I think that happens as well. That has happened to me, where sometimes as a girl I will walk into a room and then everyone soon realizes that, hey, you know, that's just secondary. She's a person with such and such qualities first. So
Exactly.
that's up to us, I think.
Yeah, but Nimrat, you have always come out to be the shy person, right? But when you entered the industry initially, when there was this spotlight, limelight, and today we have this pack culture coming, right? How do you deal with constant noises, negativity,
Yeah.
or maybe you maintain that line? Okay, here is where I am available, and here I am not.
Well, I sometimes I don't want to be available, but you know, you can't help the business that we are in, and we're in the public eye at all times. Sometimes, you know, I just want to, for instance, just be out and about doing my thing, but you know, you can't avoid a paparazzi or things, and you know, people are mostly quite polite and sweet. Also, it's just that, you know, there is so much demand for weird kind of stuff online and things like that, that then there is supply as well. So it's a tricky one, you know, what comes first? Is it demand first or supply first? So I try not to think about it, I'll be honest. I just try to like just brush it off and keep my eyes on the prize. I have many other important things to do in a day and in my life. So I try not to like, you know, think about things too much.
Lastly, Nimrat, what is that advice you would like to give to newcomers, you know, who are all set to enter the industry? You know, even they are like outsiders maneuvering their way, right?
Yeah.
What is that one advice you would like to give it to them?
Well, I think, just say that keep your eyes out for exactly what defines you as a person. Don't let social media or people around decide who you are and what you can and cannot do. I think that's most important. When we let people do that, then we somewhere don't actually get in touch with our real essence. And it's very important today because, you know, there's so much noise around us all the time that you have to make sure that your own voice is the loudest up above all of that.
Thank you so much, Nimrat. Really
Such a
looking
pleasure.
forward for Kull season 2 as well.
Oh,
And looking
wow.
forward for more shades Rani Indrani friends.
Absolutely. More mayhem, more chaos.
More mayhem, more chaos, more fights for power.
Yes, and please, I want everyone to watch Kull on
Yeah.
Jio Hotstar. It's now streaming, so please watch Kull and let us know what you think.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Nimrat Kaur and you're watching me on Bollywood Bubble.